How can I learn to love myself? It's a question a lot of people have asked themselves at some point in their lives. Today, I'm going to answer this simple yet very complex question by discussing the unique relationship with yourself, the definition of love, and finally provide you some ideas you can take with you to help you learn to love yourself. Before we begin, I have to ask, why are you watching this video? I imagine you might be unhappy with your life. Maybe you have a lot of negative feelings going through you, or maybe you have some bad thoughts about yourself going through your head. You might be a younger person, or someone from a dysfunctional childhood and family like myself, or maybe you have turmoil in your life currently. A 10-minute video cannot solve your problems immediately, but I promise you that this should be a good first step towards understanding yourself, understanding what you need to do, your circumstances, and all of that should help you live a more satisfying life. First, let's talk about your relationship with yourself. It's a unique relationship that you will have for your entire life. It is important to have a positive one with yourself because your inner thoughts and feelings about yourself greatly affect how you interact with the world and other people. If you are reading this, do you see yourself treating others better than you treat yourself? Do you celebrate others' achievements but downplay your own? If someone is late, do you offer understanding to their circumstances, but when you are late, do you blame yourself? Do you see other people as having perfect families, perfect lives, amazing relationships, while it's just you that has awful ones? Do you take time off for your interest instead of serving others? The relationship with yourself, it means to care, have compassion, forgiveness, understanding, as well as taking care of your body, feeding yourself properly, taking time from your day to pursue your personal interests instead of just focusing on what others want from you. It means to think of yourself as a person as well. Treat yourself with at least the same amount of understanding, compassion that you would give other people. Next, let's talk about the concept of love. Love is something we think is simple, fast, powerful, maybe something we've seen in a movie as a little kid, or maybe a romantic movie. But many ancient philosophers and modern psychologists actually have theories that there are 3 to 10 different types of love. Take for example Robert Sternberg, former psychology professor at Yale University. He theorizes love actually has 3 components: passion, intimacy, and commitment. And these 3 stages outline the general process of a typical romantic relationship. Stage 1, the limerence, or falling head over heels and thinking about someone, and this happens during the start of a new relationship. The subsequent trust building, that would be considered intimacy, rapport. It's something deeper under the surface, beyond really good chemicals flowing to your brain. And finally, the long-term bond that happens over the life of a romantic relationship would be the commitment. It would be what keeps a couple together even though they might not be in love with each other anymore. It's what causes each other to be interdependent. In Confucian belief, there is a concept of Zhen, which is the Confucian equivalent of love. Zhen is equivalent to benevolent love, which means duty, loyalty, and commitment to each other. Whether the relationship is husband to wife, parent to child, ruler to subject, teacher to student, both sides have to share this sort of obligation to each other, and that's the basis of this love. Greek or Christian agape defines the platonic love that parents have for their children, mirroring God in the New Testament and his undying love for people on earth, to the point God sacrificed his son to cleanse human sin. All of the above are just theories, ideas of people, prominent thinkers, and all are describing different emotions and feelings that all exist in our human relationships. My belief, which is supported by my own experiences in life and various belief systems, is that self-love is different from all of the above. Whereas the discussions of love were to a romantic partner or to a subordinate, to a partner, self-love is love for yourself. And when people want to know how can they love themselves, it comes down to one word: acceptance. Self-love means self-acceptance. Self-love means you accept who you are. The truth is, no one is perfect, no matter what their Instagram looks like. Self-love means to acknowledge you have strengths and flaws, and that's okay. Self-love means you don't need to boast about yourself, but you don't need to put others down either. You accept who you are as a person rather than comparing yourself negatively to others. You can want to improve yourself, but only for the reason of being a better version of you and not to be another person, to be someone else, because you dislike yourself that much. Self-love isn't some thought in your mind that says you're the best and you want to look at yourself in the mirror all day, tell everyone how wonderful you are.
I went to an Ivy League school. I'm very highly educated. I know words. I have the best words.
He thought that was all I had. I got paper. I got paper. You understand me?
That's actually narcissism. Self-love is more quiet. It's being content and satisfied with yourself, your background, your personality, your circumstances, what you have. This is an idea already mentioned by old philosophers and thinkers as well as prominent individuals. Here are some quotes. Last thing, I'm going to give you 4 different tips on how you can learn to love yourself. Things that you can do on your own time. First is, understand your interest. You were born with interest and you realize interest throughout your life. Discover the things that appeal to you and explore them. I myself only realized I enjoy musical instruments, dance, cooking, and basketball in my late 20s. Before that, I was literally without any real hobbies other than video games, surfing the internet, and drinking alcohol, which count as things to pass the time, but not actual real interests. And when you're younger, you don't know, so you'll have people sway you into different interests, maybe a significant other who introduces you to their world, and you tag along, or you do things that your friends are doing. This is very common, but hopefully you realize that you want to live your own life and explore your own interests. Explore things that move your heart. Number 2, develop a confidence about your interests. Some of your real interests might be embarrassing to you, childish, or maybe they're not socially acceptable, not cool. If you're happy with your interests, you need to be confident about it and let it be part of your identity. Don't let what others think ruin something that you might really enjoy. The lesson here is that if something is really important to you, then showing your true colors about it, regardless of what others think is important. Even more intriguing is if you show nonchalant or confident attitudes toward this. They say the nail that sticks out gets hammered down, because social pressure is very strong, especially when you're that young. But at the same time, if you stick out, people love confidence, and they are drawn to those who are bold, plain and simple. Number 3, know who you are. This includes knowing what you don't like about yourself. Learn to accept being imperfect. Write down the things you think you don't like about yourself. Write them down. It might be hard, but just write them down. Understand that these weaknesses exist socially, but more importantly, they exist in your own mind. Whether it's because you're short, ugly, fat, uncoordinated, poor, old, eccentric, man, woman, your religion, your race, all of those things, learn to accept these parts of yourself and acknowledge them. Why you think these things about yourself are bad is from other people. They told you that when you were young, that being this way is not good. No one will ever be your friend if you are this way. So you start to feel bad about it, and you want to change who you are. This is most people, conformity and blending in and making yourself to be something that other people want you to be. People reject themselves so that the world accepts them. If you can tell yourself and the world about who you are, however, including your faults, then you risk rejecting the world, but you accept yourself. Some will reject you, but others will adore you for your honesty and being true to who you are. Even better, you protect yourself against bullies. Bullies love to target weaknesses. They enjoy knowing that they can poke at it and affect you, power over you. When you accept yourself and acknowledge your weaknesses, then a bully has no power anymore. Here are 2 movie clips to illustrate this.
That was a really good start.
I'm the best singer in Tasmania, with teeth.
Love it.
What's your name?
Fat Amy.
You call yourself Fat Amy?
Yeah, so twig bitches like you don't do it behind my back.
The second movie clip is from 8 Mile, starring rapper Eminem. The movie is about a poor guy who is aspiring to be a rapper, and he's trying to make it big by joining rap battles. This clip is from the end when our hero makes it back to the final stage after all the hardships that he's endured throughout the movie. You notice what he did there? Even better, he then turns it back on roasting the opponent and starts pointing out that he knows who he is, but does his opponent.
But I know something about you. You went to Cranbrook. That's a private school. What's the matter, dog? You in Paris? This guy's a gangster? His real name is Clarence. And Clarence lives at home with both parents. And Clarence's parents have a real good marriage. This guy don't want to battle. He's shook. Cause ain't no such thing as halfway crooks.
He knows his opponent is pretending to be something he's not. He's actually from a nice neighborhood, trying to pretend to be this hardcore, rugged guy. Number 4, be responsible for your life. Accept that you have power over your own life. There are many things out of your control in youth, but in adulthood, you need to have 100% responsibility for your own life, your own actions. This is the mentality that you want to love yourself. When you fail, you need to acknowledge that you need to do better, or understand that there are things that are out of your control. So if you give it your best, don't hit yourself on the head. If you went to a job interview and you didn't get the job, well, you can control how much you prepare, and you can control showing up on time and showing up with clean clothes, but you can't control who they hire. There might be better candidates out there. They might not like you. They might be looking for a different character. It's okay, as long as you take control over what you can control. When you have victories, achievements, small but important ones, like waking up on time for a week, or doing your taxes before the deadline, or having the courage to ask someone out on a date, you need to pat yourself on the back for a job well done. If you have negative thoughts going through your mind like, I never get up on time, I always wait until the last minute, or I can't even believe she actually said yes to going out with me, then recognize it and find yourself people who are supportive and will congratulate you when you do something right. And their voices should speak louder than the negative ones roaming about your head. Thank you for listening. I am Ronnie J, and it was a pleasure putting together this video on how can I learn to love myself. Visit my website, socialshiners.com, for more helpful advice like this.